Let me ask you this, T. Even if I was inclined to believe him,
Yeah.
and I might not be, but if I was, theoretically, well then, why wouldn't he just have
Said that months ago?
No, well, why wouldn't he just snuffed it out when it really took on a life of its own and just denounced the rumors and, everybody's good to go, no problems.
Because he slow played it just to see what would happen. That sound that we just listened to, Russell Wilson, he was talking around himself so many times.
Yeah,
like it's like he was tying a bow tie. Like, what are you saying exactly? Like, just if you really are convicted to that, just say, I want to be a Seattle Seahawk. I never want to get traded. Period. Like, you don't have to tell me all the circumstances of what was going on. People started saying that I wanted to get traded, and then
phone started ringing.
And so since the phone started ringing, if you're thinking about trading me, then these are the 4 teams that I would want to go to. If you are thinking about trading me, I don't want to go anywhere, but just in case, this is what's going to happen. And I had a conversation with Pete Carroll and then John Snyder, who I'm on a first name basis with, and it's all worked out. We're going to win a championship. What? It's a lot of damage control. What it sounds like to me, trying to create a narrative that makes us feel like he really didn't want to go anywhere, but it's obvious that he did. Clearly he did, because he was thinking about it, even if he does have a no trade clause and could ultimately nix it if it wasn't to the places that he desired. But if they would have got the right offer, I'm sure he would have went, right? If the Cowboys don't sign Dak Prescott and they realize, say his ankle is just too jacked up and it's not going to be healthy, and the Cowboys call and say, Russ, we really want you. We're going to do this, 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 and this, and this, and this, and this. We want you. Come here. I'm sure he'd be a Dallas Cowboy, right? So this sounds good, but again, to me, it sounds like he walked around himself 4 or 5 times.
I trying to unpack the other 50 seconds of that, and it was all over the map. I hear you. Nobody doubts his commitment to the sport.
No.
Nobody will ever doubt his commitment to winning.
No. And you'll never doubt his greatness.
And we'll never doubt it. That's exactly where I was going. And we'll never doubt his greatness and his place in the game. Now, if he gets another championship, that bumps him up.
Yep.
If he wins an MVP, which he never has, that bumps him up. There's obviously tiers to this. But, I mean, Russell Wilson has been one of the great quarterbacks in the last 25 years.
Yes.
Maybe more. I mean, he really has been. He's a model of durability. More times than not, he's actually succeeded with far less than many of his peers, what they've had in terms of offensive lines. A bit, not to discredit some of the receivers over the years, but a bit of a makeshift and fluid wide receiver room over the years. Russell Wilson is a great player, but Russell Wilson just lied to our face, and we can't have it. We can't have it. We can't have it.
I mean, yeah, look, it's semantics is what he's doing. So he's playing semantics and saying that I'd never requested to be traded, but I gave the team a list of teams that I would be okay getting traded to. What's the difference? You know what I mean? There is no difference. I think the bigger issue, just to advance it though, BT, is because we had this conversation back when this first happened in March. Like, what's the impact going to be in this locker room when Russell Wilson, who was talking about wanting control, player personnel control, because he was tired of getting sacked, his exact words, and basically our offensive line isn't good enough. What does this do? Does this change how this team is going to view him? And the answer is obviously, as long as he's balling and leading them to wins, it's not going to matter, right? But if all of a sudden this team is underperforming and say they're around 500 and I don't know, things just seem amiss inside this organization and on this team, a lot of people are going to point right back to this moment. And they're going to say, or at least the moment 3 months ago, I should say, as something that disrupted a good thing. Right? Yeah, they didn't finish the season great last year, but they're a really good team, and they're always going to be viable and likely in the playoffs as long as Russell Wilson is their quarterback. If they start underperforming this year, something had to have been the catalyst for it. And a lot of people are going to put that right at Russell Wilson's doorstep.
Now, that might not be entirely fair. While it might,
I'm not saying it's fair.
No, I know. I think you're right. While that quite probably will happen, they would all throw this at Russ's doorstep. Quarterback gets the praise, quarterback gets the dents. I understand that. But that to me would, not be an accurate depiction of what's transpired here, because the Seattle Seahawks have put themselves in a very weird spot. You have Russell Wilson, you have a puncher's chance. That's a given, right? Just because of his talents, and he's special, right? But when they traded for Jamal Adams, a player that I've seen every snap when he went to Seattle, I obviously didn't see every snap, but as a Jet, he's a game wrecker in certain instances and a bit of a liability in others in terms of the pass game. For sure, not a bit. He is a liability. And they gave up multiple first-round picks, and they are now in a position where they're going to have to give him real bank. If the deficiencies around Russ on offense and Jamal on defense are a little more pronounced than we envision, then what happens is you start to put your hands up at all the holes in the dam, and you can't stop every springage of leak.
That's interesting, yeah.
Monetarily.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Because when you get so committed to one or two guys, now certain teams can do this, right? So you look at the Rams, for instance. They've had one of the great defenses in football over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's because they have so much. Not money, but they have two of the best at the positions that they occupy. Aaron Donald on the defensive line, and then Jalen Ramsey back in the secondary. And so defensively, they're always going to be in a game. And Sean McVay is innovative, and so you can overload on a couple of guys and then kind of fill the void. Like you get lucky with a Cooper Kupp, right? Nobody knew who Cooper Kupp was coming out of college. I mean, he was a good player, obviously, but nobody knew that he'd be the star that he became. And so, not that you get him on the cheap, but he's not making $21 million a year
He's
as
not
a
making
top wide
Julio Jones money.
Exactly, that's exactly right. And so you can manage it, but but that's the rare exception. What the Rams are able to do. Not a lot of teams can overspend on two positions and still field a competitive team the way that you need to in order to advance and get to the postseason.
It's just the undeniable limitations within the economics of the game.
That's right.
It's paralyzing to an extent that's frustrating because, as I've said a lot, my biggest frustration with the NFL, not officiating, is not the fact that they play almost every night now, or that you can't hit the way you used to, or that, sometimes you get a bad beat when a field goal goes through with 2 seconds to go. My biggest beef with the NFL is that, I can't stand when a team drafts, and this is not about Seattle, but just in totality, like when a team drafts and develops incredibly well, and their football acumen and their instincts in the war room are so on point, and they draft players and they develop them, and in large part, they wind up getting penalized because they did it too well because you can't keep all those guys.
Yeah, that's right.
And guys start bouncing. And it's like, to me, that's not the way the game is supposed to go. You're supposed to be inherently rewarded, not penalized for doing that. One more point about Russ, though. While he's obviously here for this season, I think what that whole flare-up does do for next season, or this offseason, right, is that he laid a foundation of discontent.
Mm-hmm.
That, all right, he wants to refute that now. You know what, Russ, for this, we'll take it at your word. All right, you're happy. We won't be a Seattle Seahawk for life. Go Hawks, we got you. But we all know that he's not. Like, common sense and street sense tells you that there's some twisting of the words and manipulation of the mind there. He's not that happy. And if they do go 9-8, oh, how about that? I didn't even mess around, say 9-7.
That's right.
How about that? Training the mind. If they go 9-8, right? If they go, 7-10, which would be unimaginable, or even 6-11, worse, then at least it's not like it's a bomb that's dropped out of left field. He has already planted seeds for his exit strategy, and now next year, given the precipitous drop in dead cap money,
yes,
it becomes far more palatable for Seattle to really want to do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's exactly right. And the salary cap is going up. So the dead number drops significantly, and the salary cap is going to go up to 208. I think that's the ceiling, or is that the floor? No, I think that's the
What did Jordan say? The roof is the floor? Is that what he said?
No.
No, the ceiling is the roof.
The ceiling is the roof. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the roof is the ceiling?
The roof is the roof.
Connor, what did he say?
I don't remember.
I'm asking Connor.
I don't know.
He had to be. Jordan was 7 scotches in when he said that. He played golf at Chapel Hill's course that day.
Yep.
You know he was plowing bourbon or whatever. He was he had to be a little juiced up when he said that. But anyway, the point being, Seattle. Let me ask you this: can you make a case right now, based on all that we've said? And let's not be prisoners of the moment. Let's think of every team. Are they, for the reasons we identified, are they the most interesting team going into the season? Can we say that right now? Encompassing everything.
Yeah.
Possibly really good. Possible drama.
Maybe. But I think Green Bay still falls into this category because of the Aaron Rodgers situation and what potentially could happen if he doesn't show up.
Fair.
But once you get to training camp and that resolves itself, and so your rosters are set, and then you start to inch towards the regular season. Maybe they are, because he's a great quarterback, right? And if the Aaron Rodgers situation notwithstanding, he's the one who still has prime years in front of him that seems unhappy. And I'm trying to think who else is prime years in front of him that's unhappy, right? I think
that's unhappy.
That's elite with great, Josh Allen's not,
He's thrilled there.
He's great. Lamar Jackson's going to be fine.
Yeah. That's not happy.
That's not like prime years in front of him that's unhappy.
Well, theoretically, Carson Wentz has a lot of prime years in front of him. We don't know if he's happy with his new situation. No, I'm just throwing out.
Yeah, but true.
Derek Carr? Is Derek Carr fully happy? He's always getting a little short end of the stick. I don't view him as a superstar, obviously, but is he fully enthralled with his situation?
Probably not. I mean, I think he's
Jimmy G.
Yeah, but Jimmy seems laid back and chill. Like he seems okay with the situation. You know what I mean? Like he seems okay, even though he's likely going to get replaced relatively quickly. Even Kirk Cousins, who Kellen Mond's drafted in the 3rd round. He's like, yeah, I'm going to help him every way I can, even if he's going to take my job in a couple of years. And he won't for a couple of years because of the money that Kurt's making, but still. If he's the one great quarterback in the NFL, other than Rodgers, that's and has prime years in front of you, like 5 or 6, not like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It could get dicey. With the Seahawks and Russell Wilson. So in that regard, it is really interesting.